Oh dear.
So, Lauri, did you get internet back today?
No, but not yet that I know of. James was put in a service ticket for somebody to look at it, and I was in on a couple of conversations, but I don't know. I won't know until I go up tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, so we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think any services are guaranteed these days.
Nope. But we have three presentations, like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, so they're going to be in jeopardy. Well, for doing things up at the center, they'll be in jeopardy. I mean, they won't, we'll do them, but they just won't be, they won't have the streaming capabilities.
You'll just have to bring all the props home with you.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Maybe even bring the mirror. Bring the mirror home.
We're doing the moon. We're doing the moon. Yeah, that would be great. We're doing the moon tomorrow. So I was going to actually go up and see if I couldn't get the internet up by the morning, I was going to bring my great big thing to make craters, to do craters, and do it at home with a big tarp or something.
You could always commission Sid to do it. He's got a big workshop. I'm sure he could build
anything you want. That's true. Oh dear. Oh goodness. All right. You got lots of people here tonight?
I don't know. Let's see. We have 23 so far. Oh, there's a lot of people here tonight. I didn't realize that. They snuck up on me. Wow. Yeah, there's lots of people here tonight.
Good.
And good evening, everyone. It's just after the half hour, but we'll wait a few more moments. So please carry on chatting.
Chris?
Yes, sir.
I have something to show, if that's possible.
Yeah.
The library, pictures of the library.
Library, right? Okay. You are on the list.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll just go over the list of who I've got. I have some eclipse photos to show. I believe Randy does as well.
You do you first, okay?
Sure. I'll go first, and then you. And then I don't know if Dave, you wanted. We have some photos from Edmonton. Plus, Dave has also arranged a meeting with CRD people about the trail. So maybe you could.
Yeah, I can tell him about that.
Yeah. And then maybe I thought we could have Chris Gainor with a brief reminder about the GA and AGM taking place thereafter, and then Alex in the library. Does anybody else have anything?
Yeah, just a few minutes to mention the Makers SIG this Thursday.
Right. Chris, could I do a follow-up on the Ganymede rendezvous?
Sure. Right. Oh, lots of things tonight. That's great.
Chris, do you guys want any photos or anything on like some of the work we've been doing on the observatory at all? Like any updates?
Sure. If well, we'll see how we're getting on for time, but that would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll put you on the list because otherwise I forget who's on the list.
Chris, I can do just a brief info for what the next star party, or who is doing the next star party.
Sure.
So that would be great. Yeah, just a minute.
Okay. Well, that's a long list, so that's good. I see we've got 26 people here at the moment, and it's just coming up to 25 too. And well, maybe we'll get started because we do have a long agenda tonight, and we've got lots of interesting things to look at. So maybe we'll carry on. So as welcome to the Victoria Centre Astro Cafe for June 14th, in the middle of the month already. We had the annular eclipse last week on Thursday morning. So I think our first two items are some photographs from that. At this, obviously we couldn't see any of the eclipse from here, but it was visible from points further east. And I managed to get some photographs from some people I know, so maybe I'll start off with that. And so I'll share my screen here. And we'll start this slideshow. Let's see if it will let me do it here. There it's good. Okay, so I happen to know some people who live in Iqaluit in the capital of Nunavut. And so I have some photographs by David Aglukark and Vinny Karatak. So I was able to get them. So I thought I'd show you, first of all, this little team that went out eclipse viewing. So in the foreground here, taking the selfie is David Aglukark, who is the dad of the other David Aglukark. So you'll notice we've got two David Aglukarks and Vinny Karatak in the middle. This is on a road, I believe up above Iqaluit. I don't know the geography of Iqaluit super well, but just point out that they've got their hoods up. So it wasn't super warm. And this is a little bit before the eclipse was at its peak around 6, I think just after 6 a.m. And so they were up, pretty early. You notice there's still some snow on the ground along the road, and behind them there is a snow fence, and that's why there's so much snow there. So the purpose of that fence is to drop the snow and stop it from falling, so much falling in the community itself. So there are some areas in various northern communities that have these snow fences in strategic locations for that purpose. You can notice that you should be able to see the sky above the snow fence, and it looks pretty much like the snow fence is just in a snowbank. So the weather conditions were not superb in Iqaluit last Thursday morning, but they did manage to get some photographs. But first, I just thought I'd tell you a little bit about my connection. So my connection is to the two older members of this crew here, David Aglukark in the foreground and Vinny in the middle. This is a picture from Kitiklik School in Arviat, as it was Northwest Territories in those days. And this is the grade 10 homeroom in the 1989-90 school year. Hopefully you can see my pointer. That's Vinny and that's David. And they were grade 10 students in my homeroom all those years ago. Who are they now? Well, Vinny's career includes acting and filmmaking. So just to show you, this is from a photo I found online from a shot of Canarley, which is a TV show he made with another fellow. And there's a little description here, but basically they're trying to broadcast their own Inuktitut language show from a tent on the land. So this is the tent set. David on the right there is the father, is a member of the Pukitalik, as we knew it in Akviat, which means having yellow stripes, or a member of the RCMP. And he's very happy to have completed 25 years, and he's going to actually retire from the RCMP and move on to some other careers, to another career. And his son, David, is a relatively recent high school graduate. And so I'll now show you David Aglukark, the son's photos that he got. So we'll have 3 photos by him. He didn't send me what equipment he was using. So hopefully you can see that one there. And it moved to that one. And again, you can see quite a lot of cloud around there, but I was able to see some detail. And then the ring. So,
oh, that's lovely.
so I think he did a great job there.
Wonderful.
Yay, beautiful.
That's really nice.
So Vinny was out there as well. Vinny did share what he was using. So he's got a Canon EOS 5D Mark II, which is not a new camera. He was using a neutral density 3 filter and on a basic tripod. So that was his setup ready to roll. And these are the photos that he got. So again, you can see quite a lot of cloud as the moon's moving in front of the sun there. And a little bit more. And then he has tried some different settings during the actual annular phase.
Great.
So he got, say, 3 different shots there. So that's what I got from some people I know. So that was very interesting and actually a good opportunity to connect with them again and find out what they're up to. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments.
I just want to
Chris,
see.
I have a comment. I think the pictures through the cloud like that are actually a lot more interesting than some that are on a clear day. That was quite beautiful. Thanks for sharing.
That's fantastic. Chris, this is everything I love about Astro Cafe. We're connecting people and we're getting to see wonderful astronomy. That really, I'm going to show a lot of pictures, but that story there just really got me. Here we go. I've been collecting pictures. You can see them here?
Yeah, it's come up for me.
So I'll start with a picture of a buddy of mine in Toronto. He's a birder, David Welch, and this is in Toronto, right in Toronto, looking over Lake Ontario. Lovely start. Oh, what do you call this pillar here?
Sun pillar. It's a sun pillar.
And is it from the ice in the clouds?
Yep.
Nice.
You get those from street lights in the winter in Edmonton when you get ice crystals in the lower layer. Each one gets a little pillar. But yeah, you can get them from the sun and from the moon.
Yeah, as a reference, Randy, there's a UK website called Atmospheric Optics.
Yes.
And they talk all about
love that place.
The Sun
That's the
Dog.
one that
Isn't
told
it
me
Sun
about
Dog?
all the rings, but I guess I would talk about this too. So I was up at 2:30 watching 2 different websites. One was this Date and Time, and then I was also watching Gianluca Massi with his virtual telescope project. And he in particular thanked me because he wrote all of the presidents across Canada, not knowing that Victoria was a long way away, but I happened to be a fan of his. And so I followed up and wrote a lot of the people. Lauri gave me a list of people who she knew were taking pictures across Canada. And I wrote supportive letters. And so I got him about half a dozen people across Canada sending in JPEGs. And he just waxed lyrical about it. But this was just my favorite thing was actually watching this crescent during sunrise in Sudbury. Unfortunately, our friend, oh dear, I've lost his name, from Thunder Bay, the president of Thunder Bay.
Brendan?
It out. Roy.
Brendan Roy?
Brendan Roy, good for you. Who got the points there? Let's go forwards. Look at this sequence. This is from New Jersey, and you can see the wobbly sun coming up and a ship going in front. You know what? I have all the information on the file names, but I threw it into PowerPoint, so I don't know who this is. I think this was in North Bay. Look at that. That beautiful delta, or Omega it's called. When you get the superior mirage. And so you have the upside down boat here also. Now some birds here in Toronto. In Spain. I just love this picture. And then somebody put on the Facebook that the guy here is the nephew of somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and said, look, I'm in a photo. That's in Montreal. I love that picture of the CN Tower in Toronto. And how about that, eh? Somebody really worked well to get that picture. Did a bit of calculation and sat right in the right spot in New York. Okay, this one I particularly like. I'm going to show a few sequences, but this one with the boat is just beautiful. But look how they, so it's rising and you can see the moon moving across the top of the sun with that sequence. And you have the beautiful sunrise clouds. Ah. And this one, again, you really get a feeling for the passage of the moon. And this one, it almost looks like somebody painted it, eh? Oh, this was somebody right in totality too. Okay, so I primed my parents-in-law in Montreal on how to see it. And we have our first call around 2:30 saying, we just see circles through it. I say, no, give it another try. And it was 2 phone calls before they then emailed me this picture. So this is from my in-laws. That's my mother-in-law's colander. But she didn't actually know that this is what I was hoping to see. And I started bouncing around when she sent me this picture. And I tried to see the faces. That lady there is a friend of my son's. They went swimming in Lake Ontario. And somebody took a selfie. Here are reflections off somebody's window, I think. Mm-hmm. Or do you think that's just a projection through a tree?
Looks like trees.
Yeah, it could just be a projection through the tree.
I mean, you
between the leaves.
You can see the tree on the left-hand side, and then I think it's going through the leaves, and you see the stuff over the garage.
And because it's so horizontal, you know, it's a different view than we had in 2017, which was midday. So you're just doing this on the ground. Oops, where am I going? There we go. Here's another fun picture. This was in Europe. Where was it? Again, I'll have to look up, but somebody did some good work to get that picture. Okay, this is the Discover, the Epic camera on the Discover spaceship, which is at the L1 Lagrangian point. It's a satellite that's there to measure solar wind. And who was it? Some you know, Tyson DeGracie or somebody like that convinced them to put a camera on it because it's always pointing at the Earth. And the really cool thing with this camera is sometimes you see the moon going in front of the Earth and you see the backside of the moon. Anyway, here up on the top, that is the shadow of the moon on the Earth.
Al Gore really pressed for that spacecraft, actually.
Say again, Chris?
Al Gore, former vice president.
He's the one that got the camera on.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much he had something to do with the camera. I don't know if it was his idea, but he really put a lot of political pressure on to get that launched. And actually, it hadn't been launched when he left office, so they threw it in the back in storage for a while, and then I think when the Democrats got back in, they launched it finally. So, but yes, some people call it Goresat.
Goresat. I just love the pictures from it.
Yes. Oh yeah, they're great.
It's a picture about every hour or so. So there's 3 pictures of the of this eclipse. But the first one over Canada and the last one over Siberia aren't nearly as good as this one over the pole. Okay, look at the detail of this picture of the sun. It's just fantastic. So,
H alpha.
Oh, yes. But Okay, you solar people, can you do this with a single shot, or do you have to do the?
That's typically done as two, one for the prominences and one for the
Yeah,
face.
you have to do two.
Yeah, just the etalon for the prominences, and then back.
Yeah, they're at different focus points actually.
Mhm.
Okay, I like this. This was just today on the Facebook. Somebody showed their notes and prediction, and then took these amazing pictures. So I'm going to go back. So I just love that, figuring it out, and all the workings, and then here it is. Isn't that lovely? Okay, Thierry Legault in France took this picture. Isn't that something? So there's the space station. It's a double eclipse. We have the sun with beautiful H alpha detail, and then the moon, and then the space station in excruciating detail. Like we're seeing things that are less than a meter. We're seeing details that are smaller than a meter across with that picture. Okay, and this blows me away. This is another French person. And unfortunately, I saw a picture and I haven't been able to find it again, where they superimposed a picture of the moon and showing where these mountains, where this topography at the rim of the moon fits with the bumps that you see against the sun. Just fantastic bit of understanding the system, as well as incredibly detailed astrophotography skills. And I close. I wish I knew, Chris, who this was, but this was a person in Iqaluit. I've got the name and I can look it up for you. Do you know everybody up there?
Not in Iqaluit, no. Never lived in that community.
Oh, okay.
Visited it, but never lived there.
It's just, it was lovely having a Canadian eclipse. We were the stars that morning.
It was interesting to see from looking at the picture of the Earth there. You could see how cloudy it seemed to be in a lot of the eclipse path too. So it was a bit iffy to get the annular phase, I think.
Yeah, it looked like it faded in and out for your friend there.
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, they weren't sure they were going to get it, so they were pleased. Okay. Well, thanks for finding those. Any questions? So maybe we'll move on. Dave, are you ready to tell us about the upcoming meeting? And just remind us.
So when I attended the trail widening and lighting symposium thing that they had the other day, I dropped a request to actually speak in person to some of the people in the process. So I got an email back from the project manager the other day, and I have a meeting on Thursday with the project manager, the engineer, and the lighting designer. So we'll have a little chat with them and see if we can, at least my goal is to try and minimize the amount of light, try and confine it to the trail, keep it fairly warm in color, and try to promote the use of time of night switching and dimming technology. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I think certainly some of the points we've talked about, are worth repeating with them. That the brighter lighting is going to encourage speed, and then when the lighting suddenly ends, people are going to be blind. So, yeah.
As well as the people that mount lights, they really like to mount them toe up, just so they spread a little bit further.
Yeah, no,
I'd make sure that they're aware that that's not good.
I have read that they intend on using 4.5 meter poles, and that's probably to get the beams, keep their pole spacing reasonable. And they're going to use fixtures with what's called a bug rating, a backlight uplight glare rating, with an uplight of 0 and a back and a glare rating of 1 or 2. So I'm going to try and get them to go with a back rating of 1 or 0 and a glare rating of 2 maximum. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
It's just that when I got them to switch all the lights in Machosen to full cutoff, then when the dudes actually showed up, who are just like dudes that are putting up the lights, they mounted quite a few of them. So they just stretch a little bit. So they go into the front window of the house across the street, that kind of thing.
They don't have a level, so they don't level them, and they don't both ways, both this way and this way. They don't level them, but go up the lift with a level.
They did it on purpose.
I wonder. I wonder if they could go back, at dusk and check them once they've done them. That
No,
wouldn't be a bad idea, right?
They could, but that costs them 2 guys in a truck, right? At night, probably overtime.
One hope with this project is it sounds like they're going to have to put these poles in, right? Because they don't already exist.
That's correct.
Whereas one of the problems with some of the municipal changes, they're on power poles. So some of those power poles are not straight. So even if they try and strap the light on vertically, it ends up tilted because the pole isn't.
Yeah, but the tenon, the
oh, I know.
pole goes into the fixture, has some adjustment.
But they don't adjust it.
they can adjust them in rotation and they can adjust them in tilt. So
yeah,
they just need to be more meticulous in how they put those things on.
But hopefully they'll start with at least things that are vertical if they've been put in properly. So
let's
hope.
Both Saanich and Victoria will actually come out and check the lights once they put them in, if there's a complaint about it. So unfortunately, you're right. They just sort of install them haphazardly once in the first installation, but they have to actually check in with people and tell them that there's a problem if one of them's bad.
And if you want a glare shield, the guys at Saanich will provide you with one.
Yeah, I got one within 24 hours. Interestingly enough,
we were 2 days for ours, 2 lights done like really quick.
Yeah.
So, anyways, maybe while we have you here, Dave, we can I'll put up the. Let's see if we've got the.
Yeah.
Let's see if I always got to tell it that I'm starting this. There we are.
So the first one is from Friday, June the 11th, and this is from my friend Alistair again, taken with a 60 DA and a 200 70 to 200, zoomed up 200, and that's the crescent moon and Venus.
Nice.
Very nice composition, typical for Alistair. And this also is Alistair, and that's a crescent moon on the 12th. And he took them a couple of minutes apart, this one and the next one. This is looking over downtown Edmonton. I like his compositions. They really make it look nice. Now, if you can, I don't know if you can run that.
I'll see what I can do. Yeah, it did run.
This is Abdur Anwar again with his edge 11 C11 edge, and it will. It's a movie of Jupiter. And that's a shadow transit.
Nice.
So Anwar's just getting back into planetary. I expect we're going to see some more stuff over the course of the summer that'll be even better out of him. And then the last one.
Oh, is there another one? I guess I didn't.
No, that's it. That was it.
Okay. Good.
That was it. That was it.
Yeah. So very nice photos, and that's neat. Having seen one of those shadow transits on Jupiter, they are really quite spectacular, and a good job filming it. So
yeah,
nice to see. Okay, thanks, Dave. And you'll you can update us, I guess, if there's anything critical comes out of the CRD meeting.
Yeah, I'll have a discussion with them, and I'm sure right now they're still in the public consultation phase. And again, what I'm going to try and do is push to have a little bit more input when they actually get into design.
Great. Okay, thank you. Chris Gainor, any updates about the GA and the AGM or anything else?
Not really. I see there's more there's more information up about the various events at the GA. So I would advise you to go to the website. You know, for example, here we've got information about the Youth Day, which is Friday. I think you can see that there, I hope. And yeah, if you just go up here and then Mars Madness, that's a couple of days. I think that's the Sunday. And that's the panel we've got, and the more on the speakers here. And so yeah, check it out. And there's also when you sign up, you're eligible to get a really neat pin. I don't know if anybody has seen it. Let me see if I can find it here.
Chris, I have a question. I registered a couple of weeks ago, and I just can't recall. Are we supposed to receive a package in the mail?
You are. I'm not sure when it's going to turn up. I haven't got mine. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. And my other question, Chris, is I know I've registered. Do you have to separately register for the actual meeting?
For the AGM, yes.
It's a separate registration.
It's a
you do
separate link.
Okay, thank you.
But of course, there's no cost attached to that one.
Mm-hmm. But you do have to register separately.
Yes.
Glad to know.
Yeah, they have to ensure that all attendees are members.
Okay.
Just a minute. Here's the. Hopefully you can see it. This is the pin that you will get in the mail one of these days. So it's pretty cool. So.
And they're petitioning for centers to host the next couple of GAs. I got a notice of that today.
Yes.
Or yesterday. And of ways to possibly improve it. That will be a discussion at the council meeting on the 27th.
Very good.
Yes, we were on the way to making some changes with the Vancouver GA. Like we were going to hold a lot of that one out of a hotel, which amongst other things, we believe was going to make it much simpler for the organizers. But I guess we're going to have to wait for the next one, wherever that one might be.
Are we thinking of putting our hat in the ring?
We haven't done it for a while. We haven't done it for a while.
Dead silence. Yeah.
Troublemaker.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not people want to come back out this way. You know, like it was only 7 years ago. So
yeah, we certainly could do it. Most of the people that did it last time are still here.
Are still here. we just roll out the sheets again and kind of just put everything back up. Yeah.
Recycle. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is an issue for for our center and Vancouver any of the centers in BC is we are a bit on the periphery. So I think at one point there was this look of maybe keeping it in somewhere around Toronto more to keep costs down, but I guess it's just a matter of who knows.
Yeah, if it's on either coast, it really becomes expensive if you're on the other coast.
Yeah.
Basically, you can fly to Europe twice for the same cost.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think there was some interest in having it in the Yukon a few years ago, and then I guess that fell apart. But that would be neat, but an expensive place to get to generally.
Yeah.
Even for us, actually, it wouldn't be that cheap. Anyways, yeah.
I think they need to have it in a place where people can get to and you know, somewhere in the Ontario region, people can drive there, you know, they can make it just part of a weekend. It's a little bit easier to maneuver around, but
Yeah, I would say between Montreal and Winnipeg seem to be
yeah.
somewhere
I
in
wonder
that.
if the opposite
Somewhere in
would
there.
happen with virtual broadcasting, whether actually more remote places can have it because you can just zoom into the meetings.
Mm.
I think it will be a blend.
Yeah.
I think there will be a blend for sure. So
It's also nice to be able to get together with people. That's, you know, one of the beauties of it all. But yeah, it's a good point though. Very good.
Okay.
So that is coming up shortly. It's almost upon us.
10 days, 11 days.
Oh my gosh.
It's the 25th is the first day.
Yeah. So it is not
Yep.
long.
The end of next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Just in time for another star party, Lauri.
That's a full moon weekend though, which is why it's happening then. You
Yeah.
know. Otherwise, it might, you know, it could have happened this weekend if the stars were lined up a little differently, so to speak.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks very much, Chris. Okay, Alex, you wanted to show us some photos of the library. And remind us we have books.
Yes, okay, now I'm gonna do this. Oh yeah, share screen first. That's not my screen. Huh? Why do I get your screen? Oh.
So if you click on that share screen, you should be able to, there you go. Now it's working.
Okay. Now how do I get my stuff?
So where are your, one of the problems with Zoom is it depends what you shared as to what you see. You can share the whole thing or just a window. And are your photos on the desktop?
It's on the desktop, and I want to get on the desktop, and I can't get to the desktop.
Okay, so maybe stop sharing and go into this share screen again. And does it give you a choice called screen?
Go to share screen again?
And yeah, and you should have some different choices of things in the, there's some different icons come up. Is one of them called screen?
Should be top left, top left.
That's what I did before. And then this is the whiteboard, and then Firefox.
Yeah, so not Firefox, the screen one then. And then you may have to minimize what's on the desktop, I guess. Let's
No,
see.
it's possible it was one of your tabs. Try your leftmost tab.
That looks like an email. That's Outlook, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Left side of the screen, you have some tabs. Did you want to show the
That one. Try that one,
spreadsheet?
yeah.
There's a spreadsheet down there on the side, left side.
Well, that's your email.
That's, I want search computer. Yes.
Now we can see some photos there. Can you open those from there?
Let's see if that's going to work. Well, why isn't it not in order? Ugh.
It's not going to open? Yeah. Oh, wait, now we're getting something, I think.
You got
There
a
it is.
picture now.
There we are.
Okay. Okay, so I was in the library and then I decided to take a picture from the window on the 4th floor. That's one of the cranes for the new building. And there's Mount Baker. Everyone can see that?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Looks great.
That's the library, the main with all the books. That's one of the cupboards. And there's the other cupboard. Those are the older books. That's a very old projectile for slides. And the slides are coming up. Let's see what
It might
Oh,
soon
yeah,
become
yeah.
a projectile.
Those cupboards are far too clean. They don't look like they've
Those
been
are
used.
cards. Those are cards for the 110 major objects.
Right.
And those are all online available on our Zenfolio
Yeah,
site
Oh,
as well.
wow.
Developed and
That's
scanned.
in the box. Okay, next con. And those are the old slides. They're glass slides.
And they've also been posted online, so people can access them. We showed them at Astronomy Cafe several years ago.
Oh, you
We
did,
actually
huh?
rigged up the old projector and got it working.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and these are the other slides.
Joe, could you do another one? Just so.
That's some telescope eyepieces, all brass. I don't know which telescope that is for, but it's in the library. And that is, I think, a stereo to, if you put two plates beside each other to see if you have a moving object. I think that's the apparatus would be the old style.
It's like a blink comparator, probably.
No, it's not a photogrammetry to see 3D.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe 3D. I don't know.
No, it's just a standard stereo viewer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for photogrammetry. So
Well,
you
no,
see-
it's not photogrammetry. It's just for viewing.
And this is the slides. They are older slides, but I can't open the box. I need the key for that, or I'm gonna break it in.
So Joe, it's just like a professional ViewMaster then.
It's a
And there's
ViewMaster.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that old apparatus that I was talking about.
Yeah.
So you put the slides in here. I
That's the
there's
projector.
something- Yeah, there's something missing because when you slide them, they're very loose in that thing. I tried it. It still works.
Yeah, we had it working.
It has an electric light bulb, Joe.
Yes, it's a big one and
Oh.
produces a lot of heat. Okay, this is the other cupboard. And these are very old magazines called Purple Astronomy. And they were even produced during the World War II. In World War II, there was a subscription in 1944. Canadian was $4.75 for 1 year.
So Alex, I wonder what.
That included the wall tax.
Yeah, Alex, I wonder what the top selling scope was in that year. We should look it up.
I should try. These are all tied up. I should actually open them up, and actually they should be archived digitally, I think. And that's that picture. Yeah, and then come on, there's another picture. And there's the other crane from the 4th floor of the library.
And the building appears.
Yes. Okay, I gotta stop sharing.
Thank you.
Welcome. And in the chat, this is for everyone. That's for me. Okay. Okay, everyone can see that in the chat. That's my email address. So you can contact me if you want a book.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
There is a book list on the website, is there not?
Yes, there
Yeah.
should be, yes.
Maybe we could
Yes.
remind people where that is.
It's under resources.
Resources, okay, thank you. So if you look at victoria.rasc.ca under resources, there is an inventory of books that I think is pretty current too.
Yes, it was
Yeah,
just
it is
updated
true.
a couple of months ago.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you for the photographs. David, you wanted to talk about the Makers SIG group this week.
Yeah, I sent a note to Jim a few days ago because I've been in the process of making some cables for the Center of the Universe telescopes, trying to sort of resurrect them for EAA. So actually I've been making up control cables. So if anybody wants to drop in on the Makers Group, just let us know if you aren't already with Makers Group. And we'll be talking about some of the components used to make cables. There's some easy ways of doing it, so you can share those. And I think I also might talk a little bit about encoders. I just recently saw an article in Sky and Tel about people proposing the usage of encoders for DOBs, and they don't even have to be very good. And I thought about it afterwards, and I think it's quite right. It's kind of an in-between thing between star hopping and using a go-to. And I think in some ways it's much preferable because if you're not doing photography, the push-to or the encoders is quite satisfactory. That's what I think anyways. And it's really not that difficult to sort of put encoders on a DOB, for instance. Not difficult at all. I mean, to get it really, really precise, it takes a little bit of craftsmanship, but as they mentioned in the article, it's not really that critical. Often you can get it within an eyepiece, and that's kind of good enough when you're looking for things. So yeah, if that's happening, if you want to join, just let me know and I'll add you to the list.
Great.
Thank you.
You're going to send out an invite to those who are on the list, right?
Yeah, I do that normally, but if there are people who are not on the list, just let me know and I can send you an invite.
Jim, you've already done that, I believe, right? You've sent out the invite? Sophie.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he has already. Yeah.
When I scheduled the meeting, I sent out the invite.
Yeah. So if you didn't receive that, either get in touch with Jim or with David or with me, and we'll make sure you can get that.
I'm glad. Thank you very much, David, for coming up with something for it. I really had nothing to add for this this week, so it would have been a question of if anybody wanted to show off some projects. So I'm glad.
Well, I'm more than happy to share my misadventures with everybody because sometimes
my misadventure with my motor on that on the club's mount.
Oh yeah, maybe you can tell us about that too.
It's definitely in the misadventure category.
Well, I have a happy ending to my story. I don't know if you do to yours, but
not yet.
Very good.
Very good.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much. Yeah, so that's on Thursday, right? At 7:30. Am I right about that? Yeah. Okay, Reg, you wanted to update us.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Here we are. Just wanted to share the screen. I know that it's been wonderful that we had a lunar eclipse, or pardon me, a solar eclipse in Canada, and I love the pictures that you assembled there, Randy, and thanks again, Chris, for that wonderful report from Baffin Island. That was good. It was wonderful. What I wanted to do is remind people that there was another moon story. This time last week, the Juno space probe flew within 625 miles of Ganymede. And to reminder, Ganymede is there's 4 Galilean moons, Io, Callista, Ganymede, and Europa. Ganymede is the 3rd farthest out. It's actually larger than Mercury. It's 1.5 times larger than the diameter of the moon, and it's the 9th largest object in the solar system. So the last time a spacecraft flew really close to that was when the Galileo mission passed by that area in around 2000, about 20 years ago. And that mission was plagued by a major malfunction of the telescope communication system. It was supposed to open like an umbrella and it got jammed up. So they could only communicate with a fraction of the bandwidth that they had planned to. So it was a major achievement for them to get anything back to the Earth. And they did get some images, so I'll talk about that. But the Juno mission went into orbit around Jupiter in 2016 on July 4th. And they launched, fired a rocket to put it into a highly elliptical orbit. And basically it came in and it comes very close to the Jupiter. It comes from the north to the south. And this was particularly designed because as kind of a polar orbit rather than an equatorial orbit. Galileo was in an equatorial orbit when it took up station on Jupiter, and the intense radiation bands really caused damage to the instrumentation there. So they had a brilliant design for this. They encased everything in a titanium box, all the electronics, so it would withstand the radiation. And they didn't really know how many orbits it could do to get scientific value. So they put it into a 53-day orbit on the first thing, and PJ stands for perijove, and that's when its closest approach to Jupiter occurs. On the second orbit, they were to fire their engine and put it into a 14-day orbit. And they had a malfunction of the rocket, and they had indications that there was a problem with this, that particular type of rocket design that had caused failures on a number of other missions. And it was all to do with a faulty valve that used helium as a kind of a pump to force the combustible materials into the nozzle. And a number of rockets blew up due to that. So they decided not to fire that again, and it was a good decision. So every 53 days for the past while, it's been in this orbit, and it's completed 34 orbits. And on the 34th orbit, it was supposed to crash into Jupiter, but they got an extension. And they did not have a healthy rocket to slow it down, so they used Ganymede, and they had the closest approach of Ganymede. So I might have mentioned it came within 625 miles of Ganymede, and they used the gravity of Ganymede to slow down the orbit, and it's gone from 53 days to now 43 days. And on September 29th, 2022, it will have a close encounter with, I think it's Europa, and it will slow it down to a 38-day orbit. And then on December 30th, 2023, on its 57th orbit, it will encounter, I believe, Io, and it will slow down to 33-day orbit. And I'm not sure if the mission is going to be extended beyond that, but this has been great good fortune. And when it flew by, it gave an opportunity for people to see Ganymede. And this is a beautiful shot of it. This is actually a mosaic taken from a number of shots. And there's a lot of interesting things here, but one thing that really intrigued me was this this line of craters along here. And it was probably observed in past missions, and there might even be an exclamation for it, but that makes one wonder if something broke out in an unusual way and there's a distribution of impact items that laid down this line. It's kind of like carpet bombing here. So that was one thing that came up. There's also a gorgeous crater here with ejecta coming out of it. And the surface is quite unusual. And there's the topography and I guess the geography of Ganymede is very interesting, and there's a lot of water under the surface, and there's evidence of ice on the surface of the planet, and it certainly warrants more investigation. This is an interesting thing. When they sent back the imagery of the whole thing, they made a mistake and they dumped it all down at once. And one guy glommed onto it all. And this is a series of the pictures of the flyby of Ganymede. They got 4 and a bit shots of that. And then this is immediately afterwards, it approached the northern pole of Jupiter, and you can see it coming closer and closer as it comes in, as we go across. And you can see all of these objects here. It moves across very rapidly, and it takes several hours to do this. It's really bombing along at a great speed. And then it leaves, this is the southern hemisphere, and you can see lines of big storms in a manner, and there she goes. So it's kind of an unusual picture. This is a picture comparing Juno to Galileo, and some sharp soul noticed that it's a brighter dot here than there is here, and possibly maybe that was another impact crater, but I can actually see something down here on this picture, and maybe ice is coming out from that crater, who knows, but they might study that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then there are pictures of people have enhanced this. And if you're unfamiliar with it, there's a camera called Juno Cam on the Juno satellite, which is a Mellon cam. And all of the imagery from that is loaded down and very rapidly distributed to the amateur community. And you're welcome to download the images and bring them into Photoshop, or like I played around with free software called GIMP, and you can change the colors and bring out things. And people have had great fun playing with this imagery, and it's worthwhile checking it out if you're interested. And there's about 400 pages of images now of the mission.
Reg, there seems to be those kind of linear scrapes on this area too, this one.
Yes, oh yeah, it's a very interesting surface. And I went to Wikipedia to read up on it, but I do not have, I don't know if I was satisfied with the explanations, but it certainly is a very interesting place to go to. I just have one more shot here, and this is another colored image taken by one of the fellows is really talented. He had been into the image processing field for about 10 years. And so as soon as Juno came on, this person has developed a huge portfolio of absolutely beautifully colored images. So
how do you find them, Reg?
Pardon me?
How do you find them?
Well, you have to just, what I would do is do Google Juno Cam, and that will take you to the site. And right up there, they'll have a gallery, and you go to the gallery, and it'll show you the raw images that you can click on and download, and it will show you processed images. And it is an excellent rabbit hole to go down. So in this case here, we can zoom in on that feature I had beforehand that showed that a line of craters. It's just a lot of fun to play around with, and it's absolutely free. And I just think we're living in a great time. And here is the menu for the Juno Cam website, and allows you to just scroll through and go to different things. And you can
Reg, I just popped the URL into the chat.
Okay, thanks very much. And I'm going to attempt to stop sharing now. So there you go.
Is it a polychrome camera, or do they do filter wheels?
They've got 4 or 6 filters on there. One of them is methane. They've got a bunch of different filters. It's used for a number of things. And it's quite elaborate the way they send the images down. That's a story in itself. I gave a talk on it when it first went into orbit on that at Astro Cafe. And it's quite an intriguing system. It's been extremely successful. The Juno cam was, as Chris Gainor said, it was almost an afterthought, but it's been an immensely successful way to engage the general public into this system. And I'm sure that it'll be copied in other missions as well. But they've got a lot of very elaborate sensors on there that can measure the emissivity of the moisture and the gases in the upper atmosphere, and they can probe down around 3,000 or 4,000 kilometers to see what's going on there. They have another instrument called the radio science thing where they measure very delicate shifts with the Doppler shift, and they can measure variations in the gravity of the planet. And from that, they can determine what the pressure in the certain areas of the zonal wind flows are and this sort of thing. They've got sensors for aurora and all sorts of stuff. What I haven't been able to do is get access to a lot of the scientific findings, because whenever I click on it, I can get the abstract of the papers, but then to actually access the papers themselves, I have to be a member of the organization or pay about $50 a pop for the papers. So it's a great project. And at any rate, back to you, Chris.
Reg, do you know anything about why there are such straight lines on Ganymede? Like those darker portions? Like what's causing the straight lines on a curved surface?
Well, I encourage you to go to Wikipedia and read. Ganymede's got some pretty lengthy discussions on it right now.
Okay.
And I read up on it, but I don't trust my memory to kind of contaminate people's thoughts with disinformation at this time. So I'll leave it to you.
Something that was striking for me was a lot of those features, the linear features that we were just talking about, seem similar to a lot of the ones on Enceladus that showed up, the tiger stripe features. And I'm certain they're not the same process because that's on a nice surface, whereas this is on a rocky surface. But
no, it's on a surface that has salt water immediately underneath the surface there as well. So it's quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I read it's bigger than Mercury, but it's half the weight.
Yes, it's not nearly as dense. It does have a very weak magnetic field as well, so indicating that there's some sort of a core process going on there to generate that.
Of course, my background, my image of Ganymede is completely formed by Robert Heinlein's novel Farmer in the Sky, I think. So I'll have to do get something a little bit more current than that.
Well, thanks for sharing that update. That's really quite fascinating. It looks like somebody kind of took a big rake and raked bits of it or painted with it or something. It's quite amazing how parallel those lines seem to be.
Yeah, I popped the Ganymede wiki reference into chat.
Oh, great. Thanks, David.
Very much, David. I've got it up already.
Very interesting. Great. Cameron, are you available to tell us what you have done since we saw your the great move and the carrying on of the build?
Can you folks hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. All right. So yeah, it's good to see everyone in there tonight. So can you see that photo there?
Yes. We can.
Yeah, so that's the there weren't a lot of shots in the presentation about this or the inside of the dome looks like now. And so sort of the first project, and again, I'll mention my friend Rob, who very fortunate. He lives up the road, has a machine shop. He's super talented, and he sort of saw this as an interesting project as to how we're gonna, the shutter was sort of tearing itself apart. I mentioned how it had sort of been tossed over the side, and it was in a lot of disrepair. And so we've been working on, we like what Bill had obviously worked for close to 30 years. So there was no sort of sense of reinventing the wheel. And he'd used lag bolts to secure all these pulleys in place, and they were starting to pull out, like just after years of wiggling and wiggling in the wood, they were pulling out. So Rob had an idea that we could probably do a little bit better. And also down here, can you see my my micro, or my right down here by the main pulley? Yeah, so we actually weren't sure what this was made of. So it's like one of the winches you have for pulling your boat onto your trailer, but the shaft, which is normally 3/4 of an inch, half inch wide, was actually built out. And so we explored, and Bill had taken two halves of plywood, put them together, and then it's some sort of epoxy over the top. And that's what the cabling was wrapping around. So it fed in one side and fed out the other. It was quite warped and distorted, and we weren't really sure. There were several problems with it, and we knew every time we fixed one, we weren't sure if we were fixing the big problem or if it was just a little problem that we were just slightly improving. So went to Princess Auto, got a 1,000-pound one, voided the warranty, cut it in half. And Rob then turned this out of aluminum and grooved it. I just did beautiful work there. And then started on the rest of the pulleys. And so he just kept sending me down to industrial plastics, to the metal shop, and he's saying, I need this, I need this, I need this. And I wasn't going to stop him. I just kept throwing the materials in front of him and saying, I'm just so happy you're helping me with this. And so after all that, we've ended up with 18 pulleys. So we've increased the number of pulleys. The main weight bearing ones are aluminum. It's all Delron bushings, 1/4 inch plate. So no more like lag bolts. Like these are actually going to be screwed and bolted in. Stainless steel shafts. They're all milled. And it's hard to look at this and understand it, but he still says he's learning machining. But these are all they're far more accurate than the wood is in the dome. So we're talking like, there's tenths, hundreds, thousands, and then this is machined to the 10th of 1,000th, if that makes sense. So we're to 3 decimal points here on the accuracy of these bearings and bushings and shivs. So and they're in now. We put them in last night. I just haven't taken any shots of it, and the final iteration isn't complete, but we got to still do some spring adjustments. So here's the old system. And so we've now remounted. This handle system is now more over to this side here, which gives more play and more ability for the 2 cables to travel across the winch as they move across, as it opens and closes. But it's super smooth. It's so quiet. It doesn't sound like it's fighting you anymore. And it was just one of those like major milestones of having that shutter now reliable, that the wheels aren't tearing the roof and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that is just it's where we're at right now.
So are you going to have to do the same thing for the dome itself when it rotates, or?
Actually, yeah. Let me pull this up. So if when we'll probably look at the rotation. Let me open this up again here. That mechanism right now, you can see down here, there's six wheels, and they're rolling around on, actually it's just a plastic electrical EMT pipe that they ride on. They're quite heavy duty wheels. They're grease bearings and everything. Possibly thinking about taking the pipe and flipping it. There's some cracks in this, so I have new stuff, but putting the pipe on the undersurface of the top and mounting the wheels to the bottom. Because in future, to drive it, it's a lot easier to have the weight of the dome pushing down onto a wheel and have the motor on the bottom half, rather than trying to mount the motor on the top half, and then it has to be battery powered, because you don't want the cable as it just winds up throughout the night or something you're tripping over. So That will probably get into that next year with how those wheels can work. But right now it still turns fine. You can still push it with your hand, but we're definitely going to smooth that up with the plans for automation in the next couple of years for that. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of time.
So what are you going to use to drive it for the dome to move left, right?
So it'll probably like some sort of a DC motor. Like we haven't even gotten there. We spent a lot of time on YouTube looking at different.
Because at Pearson, on their dome, Mark last year welded a chain around the inside.
Yeah.
Of the top.
Yeah.
So that then there's just a motor in one spot with a cogged wheel that will just drive it.
And then how does he track his positioning? Like how does he talk to, like, say, ASCOM to know where it is at what time?
I don't know if he's got that on or not, or if it's just going to be something that you push the button a little bit more
and move it. Okay, I get you. Yeah. So
I don't know, because he does have the idea, like David Lane, who is in Halifax.
Okay.
He's an RAC guy. He uses a laser card reader.
Okay, yeah.
Like a scanner.
Yeah.
And so he has little like cards.
All the way around?
Yeah. And it just kind of moves it with it, and it reads the laser.
One of the other systems I thought was pretty slick is that people machine like a little wheel and it's got holes in it. And they'll have a sensor on it and it counts the holes. So it knows.
Cameron, that's very similar to the way filter wheels work as well.
Okay.
In miniature. When the filter wheel goes around, there's typically holes in the wheel and there's sensors behind it. So it aligns exactly in the same position each time.
Right. Yeah. So it's a pretty heavy, the top's quite heavy. And so and when talking to Rob, like he's like, I don't know how, because we looked at all of the ones you can buy online, right, and stuff, and they're very lightweight. Like it's they're little, maybe that shutter might weigh 30 pounds, or the dome itself maybe is 100 pounds, but this is probably 500-600 pounds, at least the main structure. And he's like, you don't want to wake up at 2 a.m. to a really loud noise, because you got a very strong DC motor that's spinning this thing. And if you have a problem and your stops or your emergency stops aren't in place, you don't want it to rip itself apart, kind of thing. So I think maybe that's why he's sort of thinking, let's sort of, we'll get through this year. We'll make sure it's nice and waterproof. And then we'll start looking at the bigger stuff next year, because I think he wants to think about it a little bit before, but yeah, he doesn't want to wreck it after he spent weeks on that machining. He's put a lot of time in, so I'm not going to rush it.
Because Mark at Pearson, he's doing it on a shoestring budget.
Okay, yeah.
I was really surprised when I went up there and I saw this chain spot welded all the way around the inside of the dome, because it's a big dome.
Yeah. How big around is it? Like, is it a wood or is it a metal?
It's fiberglass.
Yeah, so it's gonna be heavy.
It has it sits on wheels running in a rail.
Okay.
So the wheels are attached. I can't remember if the wheels are on the top or the bottom, but
it looks to me as though it's about a 30-foot dome.
14, it's a 14-foot dome or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
It's a big dome.
Yeah, that's big.
It has a 3-meter tube in it that doesn't stretch all the way across the dome.
Yeah, that's big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the chain's one of the options we looked at, and it's I like the idea because you can be fairly accurate with a chain. A wheel can sometimes slip and stuff, and if you aren't tracking exactly where you are, you can be off. But a chain's going to be bang on,
like a bicycle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's just like a bicycle.
Yeah. We might have to take Rob for a field trip to convince him.
Okay.
I will,
you let me know if you want to go out and see what they've got.
Okay, I will.
I will try to remember to email Roman and ask him what he's doing with the 18-foot dome for the Edmonton one.
Right. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, any suggestions or ideas? There's many ways to skin the cat, it looks like.
Is there a version of that encoder that you use on the thinking of the
You don't really need that much resolution when you're rotating a dome, but you certainly could do that. But
Okay. Well, I just a poor boy's one even.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
a sensor is all you need. It'd be crude, but that's really, it just stops, right? That you need limits, right?
Yeah. There was one person I was reading an article and they were trying to figure out a way to have sensors on the scope and then on either side of your shutter. So as soon as the scope bumped into it, it knew the dome had to move out of the way essentially.
That's kind of like almost an extra thing, but that would be good.
Yeah, they're having a really hard time with the because it's on a German EQ. It's coming at it like they don't know actually where to mount the sensors on the actual mount itself because it's coming at the shutter from all these different directions. It's never just a straight left to right pass. So they're having a hard time doing the software and the coding for that.
Yeah, it'd be kind of have to be like a proximity thing across multiple sensors, probably.
Try contacting David Lane at is it St. Mary's University in Halifax? Because he has an automated. He's with the RASC.
Okay.
And it's his the Halifax Observatory that they have the scope that you can go online and get stuff from. He runs that too.
Oh, okay.
He has an automated thing at his own home too.
Oh, cool. Wow. Okay.
He could give you ideas.
Yeah. That's it.
Great. Well, thanks for the update. We'll look forward for some more as more progress is made. You need to see the next photo with all the new machine parts in place because you can see the wear on when you showed that photo with it looking straight at the I guess that is a trailer winch there. You can see the warping on the wood below it there. So it's certainly needed some TLC.
Yeah, none of the actual pulleys actually spun. I think he was because they were all starting to tip out, so he just kept tightening them and tightening them and tightening them, trying to keep them straight. So, but there's isn't a lot of friction there, so the cable was still able to slide. But yeah, it's a lot, definitely a lot smoother now.
Yeah, well done. Very good. And last on my list is Lauri with another star party coming up. And you're still muted.
I want to say, first of all, thank you to the people who helped for the star party on Saturday night. Thanks to everybody who did come out to hear James DeFrancesco. We had David Lee, David Payne, Brock Johnson as part of the EAA group who were showing some of their slides. I'm back 50 years ago. Some of their images. And Reg Dunkley was our special guest Ask an Astronomer and did a terrific job. He worked with Scott Wilkinson, who was our UVic student. And they put on a good one. James talked for quite a long time. He gave quite a long speech, a long presentation, but it was really interesting. And I learned a lot, and there's a lot to think about in terms of, how we try to either passively or actively try to connect with possible sentient beings, or whether or not, in fact, they're trying to get in touch with us. So it was interesting. And the pictures, the images were just beautiful that Dave and Brock showed later on in the evening. So that was really good. Anyway, the next one is going to be on the 26th of June. I believe that's this Saturday. I hope I've got the date right. I haven't got a calendar.
You do, yeah, it's 26.
The 26th. And we've got Jenny Atwood and Scott Roberts, who are from the HAA, and they are going to be giving us a virtual tour of the new IT building. So I know that we were supposed to have something quite a long time ago before we were, rudely interrupted by the pandemic. But they've got a virtual tour, and so they're going to tell us a little bit more about what's happening and what's going on inside, and what's going to be gone. So all your questions about what the green building is, that's what to bring up for next for next time. So that will be the 26th. Now I know that is on the night. That is on the night of one of the nights of the GA, but the GA is earlier in the day because they're starting like at our 9 o'clock and going to something like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or something, I think, in the afternoon. Like they're going from 12 through. So we should be well finished by the time we're going back on at 8 o'clock at night. So anyway, be a long day, but hopefully some of you might be able to come out if you want to hear about that. So thanks everybody for supporting us. This is great. Maybe we'll be open someday. Maybe.
Yes. Well, we made a step in that direction today, so that was good.
Well, a little bit. That's right. Yeah. But the federal government is like months behind British Columbia. So.
Well, they're looking at things with an Ontario perspective, for one thing.
It may take a while. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Very good. Well, that's all I have on my list for tonight. Just to note, in case you didn't see it, it looks like the RASC store now has the clothing that was mentioned. They've partnered with a new organization, so there are more options for RASC crested apparel. So that has come online. It looks like those of us who need access to membership information will be able to get that shortly too. So it did take about a month to get the new system fully operational. But if you haven't, remember that you need to go and create a new password with the new membership site. So that's, I think that's all we have, unless anybody has some final comments.
Oh, Chris, I was just asking whether or not the equipment for Diane is still available, or whether or not people have already picked it up.
It was advertised as a lot. I haven't heard whether it has been sold. Joe, do you know?
Well, it's on the website listed for sale, and her brother has not contacted me to take it off, so I assume it's still for sale. Just contact him directly if anyone wants any of the equipment. There's actually lots of really good equipment for sale on our website, so I would encourage you to go to our buy and sell page. We have one lot of equipment there is worth $17,000. So if anyone has deep pockets, have a look.
Yeah, it looks like some top-notch equipment. Yeah. So is it Gord? I think his name is Gord Bell. They listed the items he was selling is basically one lot of stuff, I think, for
he does. He wants to sell it as a lot, and it's reasonably priced. I think it would be a great package for someone to buy. It's basically books, binoculars, an 8-inch job, and all the stuff that goes with that. So if you know of anyone who needs a complete package, it would be an ideal thing to pick up.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say that now that things are opened up a little bit more, that we'll be contacting Gord and his and Diane's family in order to have a little bit of a ceremony as such to give them the honorary the service
award.
The service award. Thank you. And now that we can kind of actually meet outside, I was thinking maybe more than just 3 or 4 of us could go, could actually do something, and we could maybe have something at the aviation museum, maybe outside a little bit, and more people could attend. So we'll get something going there as soon as possible. So.
Or dare I say it, years ago we used to have a picnic every summer, and
that's true.
It might be an idea, at least for this year, to resurrect it.
Yeah.
That might be a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, because we can have a reasonable number now, and hopefully that will increase.
Yeah.
I think the next review is what's supposed to be July the 1st. So let's hope.
I've got a question for Chris Gainor. Is there any presentation planned at the GA for all of the service awards?
Not as such, no. I think, I may, there may be, kind of a short reading of the list of people, but basically what we decided to do was just to get the awards out to the centers as soon as we could, because, it looked, when we were getting them, things looked pretty bleak.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And of course, we all, I think there's always something in the journal every year about it. So.
Very good. So does anybody else have anything for this evening, or is that it? And a very nice eclectic assortment of things this evening. So thank you everybody for contributing and sending stuff in. And I think we learned a lot. And we are back next week. So if you do have things that you'd like to bring to our attention on at the 21st or the 28th, please let me know, and I'll be sending out, try and send out the links on the Saturday morning. So if there isn't anything else.
The sun has just come below a cloud here, and is just going to be going down here pretty soon over the Malahat, and all the sun is filtering off of Brentwood Bay here, and it's absolutely beautiful. So
look for Venus.
Enjoy.
The moon is in a clear sky right here.
And there's a cloud cover. I'm just getting the last little wee tiny bit. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do that, but it's just absolutely stunning right now. So anyway,
Yeah.
just wanted to say.
And we are expecting, as mentioned, we are expecting clearer skies. So
Yes.
So
yeah.
Hopefully we'll have some more observing. Sorry,
yeah, I'll be glad when April is over with. We had the months kind of out of order this year.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not going to call it January, because we had some nice weather in April and May. So
yeah. Anyways, very good. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and we'll hopefully see everyone next week. Take care.
Good night.
Bye.